Welcome, everybody. I'm Ray Charowski, and on behalf of the Women Leaders Committee of the Broward County Bar Association, it is my distinct honor and pleasure and privilege to be interviewing my mentor, Karen Amlong. So we are celebrating women leaders in Broward County, and we're celebrating it on International Women's Day. And I am so looking forward to speaking with you today, so that other colleagues of ours can learn about who you are and how instrumental you have been to the women lawyers of Broward County. So I want to start with this question, which is your date of birth, not so much the year, but the date.
Okay.
And I want you to tell all of the individuals who will be watching this video on International Women's Day why your birthday, which is August 26th, was so meaningful to you.
Well, it was either the day or very close to the day that women won the right to vote. And when I was a very young woman, I had an experience that made me realize that women really didn't have a fair shake. And I got involved in the women's movement. And then I realized when women won the right to vote, that really gave us some power. And so I've always felt a real kinship and honor to have been born on Women's Suffrage Day.
And
I'm a women's advocate.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up mostly in Florida. My mother was a librarian, one of 13 children, and she and all 5 of her sisters kind of broke out of the mold because they grew up in a town in Appalachia where women stayed home and got pregnant and had babies. All 5 of them became professional women, all came down to Miami Beach looking for husbands. They all got married, and my mother met and married my dad, who was a electrical engineer who kept a slide rule in his pocket.
Right.
And he was and I was an only child. And my dad was the most unsexist man I have ever met in my life. He taught me about quadratic equations. He taught me how to use power tools. And when I said, Daddy, I want to learn how to sew, he said, well, I'm an engineer. I do plans all the time. Let me figure out how to teach you how to not only sew, but make a pattern and design your own clothes.
Oh, he sounds very special.
He was very special, extremely.
When did you first realize that you wanted to be a lawyer?
Well, I first realized that something was wrong in the world when I went for a job. I excelled at the job. They had a promotion available and they promoted a man because he was going to stay in the business and I was going to get married and have kids. But when I realized I wanted to be a lawyer,
well, let me back up there, because did they actually, because that was your first job out of college, right? Where you were
passed. I was an assistant buyer at Jordan Marsh.
And did they actually tell you that? Did they?
Yeah, my buyer wanted to promote me. I went into a training program. My buyer wanted to promote me as her assistant, and management would not let them do it. They said, she's going to get married and have children, so we want to bring this guy in. And he lasted like 3 weeks. They fired him. My buyer wanted me to come back. And I said, I don't think so. Something's wrong with this picture. And so that was my first taste of discrimination.
And this is all before law school, right?
Oh, yes, way before law school.
And did that prompt your intrigue and interest in ultimately becoming part of the national organization Women's Movement in Florida?
It ultimately got me involved in the National Organization for Women. I became the first state coordinator for NOW, going around organizing NOW chapters. I was on the National Board of Directors in the early 70s. I think it was like maybe 12, but I was very, very young. But I was on the National Board of Directors, and then I was up in Tallahassee lobbying for the Equal Rights Amendment. And one of the representatives up there that I was lobbying, he said, you women don't know what you're doing. And I said, look, if you don't pass the Equal Rights Amendment, we're going to run against you. And we didn't pass the Equal Rights Amendment, but I did run against somebody and I won. And I went up to Tallahassee. I stayed up there a year. And then I decided, well, I'm going to go home and go to law school.
So let me stop you there, because I think that is something that many of our friends and colleagues don't know about you, which is, in fact, at age 27, you were the first woman elected to the Florida State Representatives from Broward County.
I was elected at the same time that Kathleen Wright was elected to the school board as the first Black woman on the school board. And Ann Kolb, who was an environmentalist, was elected to the county commission as the first female county commissioner. So it really was a year of the women.
So it was
know,
quite,
it was
quite the
a great
trifecta.
time.
Yeah, it seems like it was quite the trifecta at that time.
It was.
Of you. And so after your term expired in the state legislature, is that when you decided, you know what, I think law school is the next step for me?
I did, and my aide, Linda Cox, ran for and took my seat, and then she became a lawyer, and then her aide and my friend and her friend, Ann McKenzie, she ran for Linda's seat and stayed up there for I don't know how many years and became the first female Speaker pro tem of the Florida House of Representatives. But that back in about 1979, 80, that's when I decided to go to, well, no, it was earlier than that, about 1977, I decided to go to law school, and I went to Nova and graduated in 1979.
So you didn't take the path that many of the younger women lawyers do today. They go to college, they graduate from college, and they go right into law school. You actually took off some time, you worked, and then you did your term at the state, and then you went back sort of more as an adult.
I think it was much more of an adult. I was, maybe 10 years older than most of my classmates.
Right.
So I knew what I wanted to do.
Right. How many women, if you recall, were in your law school class?
Less than the number of men, but there were some women, and I can remember some of them, and I still practice with them. I mean, you're a family lawyer, Michelle Cummings.
Of course.
She was one of my classmates. When Linda Cox, my former administrative assistant, went to law school, she was there with my husband, Bill Amlong. But there were not that many women, but more and more as time went on.
Did you have any obstacles that you felt you needed to overcome in becoming a lawyer?
Not in becoming a lawyer. It was pretty easy to become a lawyer. Once I began to practice, I was a feminist. I was a now state coordinator. I was a member of the national board. I tried my first case in front of a circuit court judge. It was a landlord-tenant matter. I was then married to a judge, Jim Holmes. I was married to Jim Holmes, who was a county court judge at that time. I tried my first case in front of this judge. I finished, I had my books, I was in my blue suit with my little necktie. I got into an elevator, and my judge and another judge that I knew got in the elevator, and all of a sudden I see both of their heads disappearing. They're going down on their knees. And the next thing I know, I feel a hand coming up my leg, and this judge who I have a case in front of is running his hand up my leg, and he's saying, Miss Kuhlman, my daddy was a tailor, and you have a string coming down your skirt, and I would never allow that. He tears it off. He runs his hand back down my leg. The door's open. Both of the judges walk out, and I'm sitting there going, what the heck just happened to me?
Wow. That I did not know that about. I never knew that about you. I never knew that happened.
It did. And I was floored. I didn't know what to do. I was speechless.
And this as a brand new lawyer.
Brand new lawyer, first trial, bench trial, very first trial, my judge, my case under advisement. He does this. And what the heck am I supposed to do? And then I can remember another time when I was going to the matrimonial lawyers conference over on the West Coast. I was in the bus riding from the airport, and there was a judge who also was on one of my cases. Big case, got published, was made into a movie. And he's sitting there, I'm holding onto the pole. We go around a corner, he pulls me down into his lap. And I'm just amazed that this stuff happened. And once again, I was just so flabbergasted, I didn't know what to do.
Those are some incredible stories that I was not aware of, and that would leave certainly a lasting impact on a young woman lawyer that is just graduating from law school and is trying her first case, or on the other hand, in a bus going to a conference and getting pulled down into the judge's lap. Do you think that it was experiences like those that really fueled your passion to ultimately become an employment litigation attorney?
You know, I think that those things made me realize how difficult it is for women to articulate their outrage. At least back in the 80s, the 90s, the first decade of this century. Once we got to Me Too, women started speaking out. But I think that those things made it a lot easier for me to understand what happened to women, whether it was servers who were having their bodies grabbed, or CEOs that were not being that were being jettisoned because they were too old. But I've been there. I've done that. I've been a woman. I've shared those things. It's not held me back, but I understand what it is, and I think that's been a really, really important part of my ability to represent employees, and particularly women, successfully. And that is a passion for me. I love representing women.
Yeah, I know that your firm, when you and I first met, which was when I was a brand new lawyer, your firm was really sort of divided into two lanes. It was the family and matrimonial lane, and it was in the employment discrimination lane. And what actually drew me to your firm, ironically, as luck would have it, was the employment discrimination side, because I thought that I, as a brand new lawyer, young lawyer, wanted to be an employment discrimination lawyer, and I wanted to represent victims of employment discrimination. But when I first started working, and I know you're not going to remember this, when I first started working with you, you were in the middle of, Bill was in the middle of a huge employment trial, and he just didn't have time to work with me or train me. And you were in the middle of a very high net worth divorce. And you kind of just grabbed me and you said, come on, you're working with me. And so that was really my first experience into the world of matrimonial law, was working with you as a young lawyer, and in a high net worth case with a fabulous opposing lawyer on the other side. And it was a Dade County case. And so, which ultimately we tried in Dade County. And so for me, that's what ultimately drew me into the family law world, as opposed to the employment world, was that experience where I started working with you in matrimonial law. And I know that which was an incredible experience that I'll never forget, and I've cherished through today. And I've taken all of those lessons that you taught me into my practice. But I know that over the last certainly 20 years, you've pulled more away from the matrimonial side, and you've pulled more towards the employment side. Was that a conscientious effort, that you just were drawn more to that part of the practice?
Ray, you and I have talked about this. Family law is a really stressful area, and you get burned out after a while. Yeah. And so I kind of got burned out with family law. I've always loved employment law. We've had about well over 100 associates over the time that Bill and I have been practicing. What makes a successful lawyer is someone who understands the law, understands the politics, and understands the dynamics of the practice area. You do that. You have that natural affinity to do that. But I gravitated towards employment law because that's really where my heart is. Family law is just, it's people beating up on each other. And I know that those are very important cases. Children are an issue, yeah. But I love the employment law aspect. I love it.
And when you graduated from law school, you opened your own firm, didn't you? Or you didn't go work for a firm? I mean, you kind of just hit the ground running.
I hit the ground running. I had a mom and pop law firm. My ex-husband, my current husband, and I all practiced together for a little while. Bill and I have been practicing together since 1982 when we got married.
How did you do that? I mean, how did you graduate from law school and open up your own firm with?
I knew I would never work for anybody. After that experience with the buyer, I said, I'd never work for anybody again. I don't want to work for a big law firm. I'm going to be my own boss. And it's worked out very well for us. It's been a struggle at times.
Yeah, well, like everything is all.
Everything is up.
did you, I guess because you opened up your own firm right out of law school, would it be fair to say that you really haven't felt some of the impact of being a woman lawyer in the 80s that perhaps some other women lawyers that worked for large law firms may have experienced in terms of their.
I never felt that because I was my own boss. I was the senior partner. I owned the law firm.
Right.
But I've had numerous women lawyers who were clients who didn't make partner, who were sexually harassed, who had problems, having their worth recognized. And I just think that it's really important, and it's still important as a woman, even though we're making great strides. It's really important. We're in a business where there's always going to be a winner and a loser, and we have to fight hard. We have to fight our own way. We can't try to ape the way that men fight. We have to find our own style, our own way of doing things. And that we can never accept defeat, because we are going to lose sometimes, but we can never accept defeat as making us feel that we are less competent or less valued than we are. And we have always got to be our own person, find our own way of doing things, and never let anybody define you but you.
Yeah, well, that's certainly a lesson that you taught me, working with you and Bill for the period of time that I was there. The other thing I learned about you is that your work-life balance, back then, and I'm sure nothing has changed, because the one thing that I learned working for both of you is that you are workaholics, and that you stay till the job is done, and there's no going home if the job isn't done. And the other thing that I admired about you when I worked with you is that you worked hard, but you played hard. I mean, your trips, from my recollection back in the early 90s, consisted of going to Chile or Argentina and skiing in the summer, and not just doing little green runs. You're skiing black double diamond moguls, and so it was always a work hard, play hard, work-life balance. Has that changed at all as the both of you have matured?
Well, it's mainly changed because of our injuries. I've blown out 2 knees and 2 shoulders, so we don't do the same thing. Hanging on my computer here is this little thing. I love it. It says, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." That's the wrong way, but it's a coffin. We don't have time to sleep.
Right.
But we work life has changed.
Right.
We've had great trips, taken time off and done great things. And I hope when the world opens up again, we'll do that again. I mean, I have every expectation of doing so, but it's just been, not this year, not last year.
Right. Tell everybody one fun fact about you that none of us, including me, don't know.
If I am reincarnated, I want to come back as a Radio City Rockette.
That's great. I love that. I love that. And if you could give a message to the future women in this industry, the young lawyers that are now coming up. I mean, now, law school classrooms, if not 50-50 in terms of the women-men ratios, there are many that are more women than men. I mean, so obviously women are really drawn to this field. What message, other than what you've already said, which is of course a tremendous amount and wonderful advice, what message would you give to future women coming into this industry, or the young lawyers that are coming up behind us?
Find your own way. Find the thing that you believe in and do it with all your heart.
Well, you, my friend, have done what you believe in with all your heart. I don't know another person that has worked as hard and as passionately as you have for the rights of your clients, in particular in the employment arena. I know that you have represented thousands of clients who have been victims of employment discrimination. And the one thing that I have admired about you my entire career is your incredible passion for your clients. And I really have never seen that passion exist as deeply as I did with you for the time that I was there. And I will always look up to you as my first boss and my mentor. And I'm just honored that the Broward Bar gave me the privilege of interviewing you, because if anybody is defined in my mind as a woman leader of Broward County, it is you, my friend. And so kudos to you. And
Thank you, Ray. And I'm so proud of you.
well, thank you. And good luck to however many more years you're continuing to fight the fight. So
There
thanks.
you go.
Thanks so much, Karen. Love
Thank
you.
you, Ray.